What's good, YouTube? Zamcro here, aka Scoop, back with the World Showdown Series, season number 5, and we're here in the playoffs. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have one video covering our run through playoffs, quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. Well, obviously, quarterfinals here. If we win, we move on to semifinals, and if we win that, then we move on to finals. So we got to start here first, though. And we've got a rematch versus the Korean Truth, aka Tony, coach of the Canterbury Conquilders. Is that right? I'm pretty sure. Anyways, the first time we played, he actually didn't bring the Gliscor. He brought a Alolan Persian. So this time's a little bit different. I bring actually the same 6 Pokemon I brought the first game. I kind of had to be honest. These match up really well versus his team. So we have a Tapu Lele with Twisted Spoons, and we've got Psychic, Moonblast, Hidden Power Fire, and the Calm Mind. Tapu Lele gives us a lot of not only offensive presence, but it gives us defensive presence versus his Scizor. It can't use Bullet Punch. Mew can't use any of its priority. So all that's really nice. At +1 with a Calm Mind up and with my Twisted Spoons intact, I can Oko Crocodile with Moonblast. I can Oko the Salazzle with Psychic, bar any type of berries, that is. I can 1v1 a Mew as long as it doesn't have Psyshock and Calm Mind of its own. And we can 2-hit KO a Gliscor as long as it's not Spadef. If it is Spadef, we can 3-hit KO anyway. With Psychic Terrain up and not the Electric Terrain up, after one Calm Mind, we knock out the Tapu Koko, unless it's very invested as well, which it has a chance to be. Given my speed tiers, it could be a little bit bulky. And then Scizor, at +1, we do knock it out with a Hidden Power Fire, unless it's very, very bulky, but then it can't avoid a 2-hit KO regardless, so that's really nice. And like I mentioned, brings up the Psychic Surge, the Psychic Terrain for Mega Alakazam, boosts its Psychic type attacks, and prevents, Mega Scizor from using Bullet Punch, which is really nice. Next up, we have a substitute Swords Dance, Salak Berry, Garchomp with Dragon Claw and Earthquake. Pretty much the same set as we brought last time, I'm pretty sure anyway. This thing breaks through his team, breaks through the Crook, breaks through the Mew, breaks through the Scizor, breaks through the Gliscor, so on and so forth. I could have brought a Z move, but I felt like the Salak Berry was really nice because I could potentially substitute down into my Salak Berry, and as I sub into my Salak Berry, it could pop, and then I could either have a sub or just have it broken and then outpace the majority of his team outside of like Scarf Coco and Scarf Salazzle. But any non-Scarfers we would outpace, which would be really nice. So that's the main components of our offense, and then Mega Alakazam's there to kind of clean up. But now we need to talk about our defense. We have Suicune, Licky Licky, and Marowak as our defensive core here. We've got a Suicune, which is a Spadef variant. We can take hits from Salazzle pretty well. I can take hits from Gliscor and Scizor as long as they don't set up too much. We've got Toxic there. We can Toxic the Mew and not worry about it too much because if it synchronizes us, we do have Heal Bell on Licky Licky. We have Roar on here. It prevents Scizor, Gliscor, and Mew from being too much of a setup threat. And then Scald is there. He doesn't bring a water resist in this matchup. However, he does bring 3 Pokemon that are weak to Scald in Crocodile, Salazzle, and the Gliscor respectively. And nothing on this team really appreciates a burn. And we have Protect to Scalp and for Toxic to build up. Anyways, our next part of the defensive core, we have a defensive Licky Licky. Can take hits from Crocodile, can take hits from an offense or physically offensive Coco and Mew, as well as being able to take a hit from Scizor. And I am not set up fodder. I do have Ice Beam for Crocodile and the Gliscor. We've got the Flamethrower for the Scizor, so we're pretty stout there. We could have brought Earthquake for the Salazzle and the Coco, but I felt these 2 moves would do the job, especially in conjunction with the rest of my squad. We do have Suicune and Marowak, which can check the Salazzle and Coco. pretty well in this matchup and save Licky Licky the issue there. And we are a Wish variant. We do not have Protect on this thing, but we do have Wish, and we can pass Wishes into Coon and Marowak respectively, and even into Garchomp and Tapu Lele. Since I am so bulky, my Lele spread is I am actually max speed, so that I can outpace Crocodile and speed tie with Gliscor, and we're max HP, so like after 2 Calm Minds we do live a Life Orb Sludge Wave from Salazzle, which is really nice. Anyways, next up we've got our 5th Pokemon on the squad, Alolan Marowak with the Cobra Berry, and we're rocking the Will-O-Wisp, kind of a similar set to last time, where we're going to try to burn the Crocodile as it goes for either the knockoff or the pursuit trying to catch us. We try to burn it and then switch out, and then we've got Fire Punch and Shadow Bone for dual stab. Shadow Bone hits Mew pretty hard, and then the Fire Punch hits everything else pretty much as hard as it needs to. And then we've got our Stealth Rocker finally, and we are a Spadef variant. We can with our Lightning Rod ability, we can pretty much wall a specially offensive Coco, which is really nice. And then last we've got a Mega Alakazam. We've got a Modest Nature Mega Alakazam actually with enough speed to outpace the Coco. We can rock this squad with just 3 attacks: Psychic, Shadow Ball, and the Dazzling Gleam. I felt like the rest of my squad deals with Scizor good enough to where that I'm not going to need Hidden Power Fire to OHKO it from a specific range of HP. I think that Psychic or Shadow Ball will do the job, or Psychic into Shadow Ball from whatever range he is when he finally comes in. I do think I'm going to get prior damage on it, so it won't be too big of an issue. And we've got Protect there to scout for the pursuit and the knockoff. If Kirk goes for knockoff, I can always switch out. If he goes for pursuit, I can stay in and click Dazzling Gleam, which is really nice. Anyways, we can go ahead and hop into the replay now and start it a little bit. He's going to lead off with his Scizor, as we're going to lead off with our Suicune. I felt it was our best lead. We can just click Scald, unless he led with Coco, in which we could click Protect and then hard switch either into Garchomp or Alolan Marowak or even Coco, or excuse me, Licky Licky, depending on his set. So yeah, we're going to do just that. As he actually takes the Scald, U-turns out into Coco and reveals Thunderbolt. We're just going to go into Marowak here as he just U-turns out. So pretty nice there. He can go for Earthquake here. I'm not going to let Marowak take any kind of damage here. I'm just going to go hard into my Licky Licky. I take 22%, so this is not even like a 4 or 5 hit KO after leftovers, which is really nice. The Mini I can just Wish Up. I can throw off an Ice Beam on the following turn, and you can see it does well over half. So he's not going to be able to beat me 1v1 unless he has Taunt or Toxic, which he doesn't reveal either so far. He's revealed Roost, Earthquake, and now he just revealed U-turn. So I actually go for the Flamethrower here, and he U-turns into his Scizor. I didn't want to waste all my Ice Beams on his Roost, so that's the reason for my Flamethrower. Anyways, I'm going to hard switch into my Marowak here as he Roost up with his Scizor, predicting the Roost. I get my Rocks up as he goes into Gliscor, but unfortunately he's able to defog them away immediately. Nothing took rock damage outside of the Gliscor, but its Poison Heal has healed it back up, and yeah. Mew takes no damage from my Ice Beam, and we don't get a freeze, so not too big of an issue there. We can just go out into our Suicune here as he gets up his Stealth Rocks. Now that's kind of problematic, and what he does here is big. He reveals to have U-turn on this as well, so he's got U-turn on 4 of his Pokemon so far: Coco, Scizor, Gliscor, and the Mew. However, we're able to catch Coco with a nice Toxic there as he brings it in off the slow U-turn, and we go into Marowak as he goes for Thunderbolt, and then he U-turns out as we get our Stealth Rocks up finally, and now he's got the Gliscor in. I didn't know if he would remove Stealth Rocks as he just set his up, and he actually doesn't and goes into his Mew. But this thing revealed Stealth Rocks earlier and revealed U-turn, so it's not a setup variant, meaning it's not too huge of a threat to me now, which is really nice. Like a Calm Mind variant was really scary in prep, so that's really nice. He goes into his Gliscor on an Ice Beam again. Takes quite a bit of damage, and I know he's got a Roost up here, so I can go into my my Suicune, and he can't 4-hit KO me with Earthquake here either, especially with leftovers. I don't think it's even a 5-hit KO, and he's forced to U-turn here. Unfortunately, this thing's Toxic Heal is going to prove to be a problem. However, we can just throw off a Scald here. He goes into his Scizor, and we do not get a burn yet. If this thing gets burned, my opponent's actually in a really, really bad position, and he actually stays into Roost here, and I go for the Scald once again, and we finally get that burn. We can just protect here, see what he wants to go for. He goes for U-turn. Not only are we able to scout what he wants to go for and get a little bit of burn damage on him, but we waste some U-turn PP, which is really nice. Unfortunately, we can't burn Roost PP with pressure. Anyways, he goes out, or I go out to my Licky Licky and I throw off a Wish. He goes out into his Gliscor, fearing the Flamethrower, obviously. He goes for the Earthquake though. As I click the Ice Beam, it's consistently doing over 50%, so I can deal with that pretty comfortably actually. And here he actually goes for the Roost again, so I'm gonna switch out into my Lele and start to try to break his team. So I go for the Calm Mind as he gets a nice slow U-turn out into Salazzle. And at this point, if he's not Life Orb or any kind of boosting item, I can live this hit. So I'm actually going to stay in and go for the Psychic, but he reveals to be some sort of boosting item, probably Choice Specs. He brought Choice Specs last time we played, and yeah, he goes out into Coco on what could have been an Earthquake. As I go for the Swords Dance here, I know that he can't knock me out unless he's well, even with Ice Beam, unless he was modest, he couldn't have knocked me out. Or not Ice Beam, excuse me, Hidden Power Ice. And yeah, we're able to live that. It does not pop our Salac Berry. Had we went for sub there, we would have been at what, 4%, but our berry would have popped and we would have been at +1 speed, and we could have went ahead and knocked out the Crocodile, or we just had a sub up and knock something else out after we knocked the Coco out. Anyways, we are going to keep Garchomp around, as we can just switch into our Licky Licky. He goes out into Gliscor, U-turns out into his Scizor on the Ice Beam. We get our Wish back. Not too big of a deal there, and he's going to Roost up, but we're just going to click Flamethrower here. It's going to consistently do over half as well. Consistently doing over half, so it's not too big of a deal how much he wants to Roost up here. We're eventually going to knock him out, or he's going to switch out. So like I mentioned, not too big of a deal. We can waste his Roost this way, and he finally U-turns out. So whatever, like I mentioned at Team Preview, Mega Alakazam now knocks it out with Psychic after Stealth Rocks. Mega Alakazam no longer has a switch in outside of Crocodile, but he's risking Focus Blast or Dazzling Gleam or Signal Beam even. So that's really nice. Speaking of, I guess we could have brought Signal Beam and Hidden Power Fire, because Signal Beam covers Shadow Ball on Mew and covers Dazzling Gleam on Crocodile, as well as letting us hit the Scizor. So I think that might have been the better route to go. Anyways, it gets a little stally here, back and forth. I'm actually going to, I was going to pause it and speed it up, but nah, no reason to. This is quite a long battle though. We go for the Toxic there and we miss. Like I mentioned at Preview, we do have Heal Bell on Licky Licky, so the Synchronized doesn't matter too much. We're going to be able to, he might have thought this was actually a good thing for him, considering the rest of his team can't beat Suicune. Suicune plus Licky Licky win at this point. Because he misplayed his Coco a little bit. Yeah, but as you can see here, he can't do much damage to us with Crocodile, and we're able to get a huge Ice Beam off on the Crocodile, which puts it in range of basically any attack outside of Shadow Bone and I guess Flamethrower on my squad, and Psychic from Alakazam, which it's immune to. But yeah, this is going to be a very long and stally game here at this point. Well, I guess I can just skip a few turns. But basically what he's going to do here is going to start defogging and trying to waste some of my PP. I'm going to hard switch into Garchomp as he actually goes for the Earthquake and knocks us out. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I got a little impatient there, and I'm going to go into my Suicune here to click Scald. He's going to go into his Scizor, sack that bad boy off. He actually lives, but the burn will take him out, and I would have taken him out the following turn thanks to just being faster. He goes into a Salazzle next, and it's not going to be able to do too much to us. We are very, very Spadef invested, and we're able to take out the Salazzle. He goes into the Mew next. We've already got our Heal Bell off, so we're not poisoned, and we're going to be able to beat this thing 1v1 thanks to having Protect and Licky Licky's Wish, which is really nice. Which we can just throw off a Wish here as we go into our Licky Licky. He gets his rocks back up, which isn't too big of an issue. We do have Marowak, which is weak to rocks, but like it's not an issue at all, really. It's really not an issue. However, we've got Licky Licky back at a reasonable amount of HP, so we're going to hard switch into our Alakazam here, predicting him to roost up. And what we can do here is click Shadow Ball. Now, had we brought Signal Beam instead, I think would have been the better play, because I'm actually forced to make a prediction here. I figured he would go hard into his Crocodile, and he doesn't. And unfortunately, he U-turns out into his Crook, but he goes for Earthquake, so I can easily sack off my Marowak here. It served no purpose in the match. It got beat by 2 Pokemon there, Crocodile and Gliscor. So no reason to keep that bad boy, and we can just go into our Licky Licky. We can live any one hit, knock him out with the Ice Beam. He decides to go into his Gliscor though, saves his Crocodile for later in the match. However, I'm going to throw off a Wish, go into my Suicune, and once I get this Wish back, I'll be at a huge amount of HP. And he goes hard into his Mew, and it's below half at this point, with the toxic damage starting to pile up. I'm going to go for Scald on the first turn, kind of like wanting him to soft boil. I'm going to let one more turn go by as I click Protect here, and then I'm going to go hard into my Alakazam, I think. I am Mega Evolved now, so I do take the Stealth Rock damage, but it's not that big of an issue, and I'm able to live the Psychic on 5% clutch there. And had I had Signal Beam again, I would just click it here, which would have been really, really nice, but I unfortunately didn't. And he was you know, the mind games played a little part in our moveset here. However, I'm able to click Scald here repeatedly, and eventually I'm going to win. The conjunction of Licky Licky and Suicune, there's just no way I can lose this game. He could forfeit and save some turns, but this is playoffs, so I can understand him. Like if I made a misplay or something like that, then he could capitalize on that. If I let Suicune go down and he was able to knock out Alakazam with Crocodile, and then get the Moxie boost and knock out my Licky Licky as well, then things could be problematic. So I've got to continuously play smart here and just keep clicking Scald. I'm actually going to hard switch into my Alakazam here, and then I'm going to click Dazzling Gleam, predicting his Crocodile to come in, but he just stays in and goes for a slow U-turn. I can understand that play as well, but now he doesn't have a Ice Beam switch in, and he doesn't have a Scald switch in. So I'm going to go into my Licky Licky here, and I'm going to click the Ice Beam in case he went into the Gliscor to save his Crocodile. It would have dropped, potentially, depending if I got a decent roll. Had I went into Suicune there and he went hard into his Gliscor, he could potentially live the Scald and roost up. So that's the reason I went into Licky Licky, to throw off the Ice Beam. And now we're here basically at our last few moves, and I'm just going to spam Roar a few turns and let him know that I'll win the PP war as well. But yeah, I just click Scald here, and now he's in a position to where I think he's just going to realize that he's not going to drag out the game any longer than it needs to be. He does go for Roost once more though, so he's still kind of banking on a choke, but at this point it's kind of inevitable. I would have to run out of Scalds, Ice Beams, and Flamethrowers on Suicune and Licky Licky, but he'll run out of Roost before that. And I get a critical hit there, which kind of matters. It speeds up the process, but I don't think it's going to be like game changing or anything like that. And we should cop out with a W here eventually. He finally forfeits on turn 97. He didn't want to have a 100 turn battle. So yeah, it's going to be a good game, and we can hop into the semifinals. So here we are with the semifinals, and we're taking on the Pichu Bros, somebody we're very familiar with after season 3 and 4. We played him in season 3 semifinals. We played him in season 4 twice, late in the regular season, and then once again in the finals. We played last season, and I did defeat him in the finals, but here we are in the semifinals. He has a chance for revenge for a chance to go on to win his own title. But we're really strong. We want to win a second title. This could have potentially been our third chance at titles. We did get hexed out of season 3 finals, so repeating now would be nice, and it would kind of reflect a three-peat in my mind, so that would be super nice. Anyways, we've got he's got a Togetic, Mega Mawile, Marshadow, Mesprit, Superior, and Victini. So very, very scary squad. Pretty much what I expected. I was hoping the Togetic didn't actually come, but it does. Kind of a wall to my Garchomp, because I did bring an Earthquake Dragon Claw variant. No coverage. I felt like he wouldn't bring the Togetic. He didn't bring it last time, but unfortunately he does bring it this time. We are speed creeping a Victini with our Garchomp. We do have quite a bit of Spadef investment as well, but we are very, very offensive at the same time with 140 EVs in attack. Basically, if we were a 102, or excuse me, a 101 base attack, we would be maxed out right now. We are another sub Swordsnet Salak Berry variant. Can potentially sweep his team. That being said, this is one of the first matches we don't bring Lele, but if we've got our patented Suicune here, Purity, with Scald, Ice Beam, Toxic, and Protect. Reason being for Toxic and Protect is we could potentially catch the Superior on the switch in with a Toxic, and then wear it down with Toxic Protect, Toxic Protect, Toxic Protect, so on and so forth. Or just Protect and then switch out, Protect, switch out to a Crobat, so on and so forth. I do expect it to be a Glare variant to catch our Crobat. It's a very obvious switch in. Anyways, we are very, very defensive. Obviously, we are not a Mega Mawile check. That thing has no checks. Next up, we have Licky Licky, which is a Chople Berry variant. We are immune to this prevents Marshadow from spamming Ghost type attacks versus us. We have Wish, Protect, Knockoff, and Earthquake. Knockoff gets rid of items on things like Victini, Serp, Mesprit. Marshadow can get rid of the Eviolite on the Togetic as well. And we are mixed defensive, so we can take hits on both sides of the spectrum pretty comfortably. Obviously, again, we can't take a hit from, well, we can take one hit, but we are not a check or a counter to Mega Mawile. Those don't exist. So next up, like I mentioned, I do expect Glare on the Serp. We have a Lumberry Crobat with Infiltrator, so that we can bypass Substitute if it's like a Sub-Leech Seed variant, if it's not a Glare variant. But if it is a Glare variant, we do have the Lumberry, which gives us one free switch in. And we've got Air Slash, Heat Wave, Roost, and U-Turn. U-Turn for just momentum. Air Slash and Heat Wave hits the rest of his team, and Roost for longevity. And we are very, very bulky. And very, very fast. And next up, we've got another Colbur Berry variant for Alola Marowak with the Lightning Rod ability. Once again, we've got Stealth Rock, Shadow Bone, and we've got Flare Blitz over Fire Punch this time. And we've got the Endeavor, which is also a really nice tech. And it can bypass Mega Mawile Sucker Punch, which is really cool. So, yeah, this thing's pretty nice. It's a pretty solid breaker versus his team. Flare Blitz breaks through things like Mega Mawile and the Serp. Shadow Bone breaks through the Mesprit and the Marshadow and the Victini. I thought about a Trick Room variant using Alola Marowak as our star of the team with the Thick Club, but ultimately decided against it. And last but not least, we have a very, very, very bulky Mega Alakazam with Psychic, Shadow Ball, Taunt, and Recover. And obviously Magic Guard before Mega Evolution. And then Trace. We can trace nothing really on his squad that he brings. I guess Contrary, but on his squad he doesn't really bring anything fun that we can trace that he actually brought to the match. But yeah, that's going to be it for the team preview, and we'll go ahead and hop into the replay. He's going to lead off with his Mesprit, and I felt like leading Alola Marowak was best because we can just set up our Stealth Rocks, and he wouldn't really have a solid way to get rid of those unless he brought Defog on Togetic or Serp. But here I'm able to get a defense drop here, and it forces him to Roost. But he actually decides to Defog, and we can get our rocks back up. We should have knocked him out there, potentially. But he's gonna continuously defog, so that's a priority for him. He doesn't want rocks up to protect Victini. I can understand that, and I should have just knocked him out here because this is actually going to go on for quite a few turns. He's eventually going to switch out just so that the defense drops goes away, but we're able to get our rocks back up, and then we have to do this all over again basically. And we get another defense drop we're basically going to win the exchange. Keeping rocks up is probably not going to happen at this point, but yeah, we can kind of fast forward through all this, all these stealth rocks and shadow bones and flare blitzes and roost on the Togetic. So, but yeah, he manages to not get the defense drop, and then we get the defense drop on the following turn as he did fogs. So that's a little bit unfortunate for him. But he's EV'd well. It's going to be able to come out on top eventually. But yeah, we're just going to keep trying to keep our stealth rocks up and keep trying to beat this thing down the best we can. He's not doing much to us with Dazzling Gleam either. So yeah, we can, and with Endeavor and the Shadow Bone and Flare Blitz, we can potentially keep him low. However, Flare Blitz is eventually going to knock us out. But yeah, he hard switches out into his Marshadow on the perfect turn, and he goes for the Shadow Punch as we go hard into our Licky Licky. And he actually reveals to be Bulk Up, so he's not a setup variant or he's not a Scarf variant this time, and he most likely has the Shadow Sneak. So I can't just bring in Mega Alakazam to revenge kill him. I do have to go into Suicune and live a hit and get the Toxic off. Excuse me. I went for the Scald Burn. Yeah, it was better for me and getting the chip damage because I knew he couldn't 2-hit KO me thanks to my leftovers. But where it actually can get scary because if he bulks up enough, he can do a lot more damage to me, and he reveals Drain Punch, which is stab, and can get him his health back. Fortunately, I'm able to avoid a knockout there, living on 3% and bring him down to 3% as Burn knocks him out and Leftovers brings us back to 9%. And now he's got the Serpent. We're just going to switch out to our Crobat. He reveals Glare like I mentioned. So now we have to go for the Air Slash. As Togetic dies to Rocks. So keeping our Rocks up was really nice in this matchup. And that long struggle at the beginning of the match really pays off there. And we're able to get in Suicune before he can set up Stealth Rocks, and we're actually faster than the Mesh Sprout, and we're able to get a Toxic off versus it. So it's more than likely a slow U-turn invariant. We're going to go into Mega Alakazam here, trace the Levitate, and click Taunt. Prevent him from clicking Thunder Wave. He did have the Thunder Wave last time we played, and it was a little bit unfortunate. But here we've got Recover. We're just going to Recover up as Toxic will eventually wear him down. I think Recover is always the play. We could also click Shadow Ball here. Yeah, predicting the Mega Mawile or the Victini to come in, and we do get the Mega Mawile on the switch in there. We go for the Recover as he clicks Knockoff, and we're going to go for the Shadow Ball here, and I don't think he's got Sucker Punch at this point. I'm just not seeing Sucker Punch. So I'm going to go into Garchomp, and I'm going to click Sub as he goes for the Play Rough. So he breaks my Sub. Now I'm going to go for the Sub again as he goes for the Knockoff once again. Like, I'm trying to get my Salic Berry to pop. It finally pops. And now I'm going to knock him out because there's no way. Oh my god, he had the Sucker Punch. He just played it phenomenally. He played it phenomenally. Now this Snake is really, really dangerous. Fortunately, we're able to live a Leaf Storm, which was obvious, but we get rid of its item, which makes things a little bit unfortunate for us, as he goes for the Glare on this turn. So that was huge right there. We needed Licky Licky in the late game, but yeah, we're not going to be able to get it. Or, well, we do keep Licky Licky, but we get glared, and that's going to be basically the end of the game. It's going to be a good game to Pichu. He's going to pick up the semifinals win this time, and he's going to go on to the finals, and he's going to take on Rainbow Taco. So he's got a nice Adelaide. So I freaking forgot. Excuse me. Anyways, Pichu's got a chance to win a title now, so that's really cool. But yeah, that's going to be it. Let me know what you thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field for both games, the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.